Hi, I'm Alagusundaran Caruppaiya and I'm a final year student from University of Nottingham, Malaysia, majoring in Business Economics and Finance. And in this video, we will look into the second degree price discrimination carried out by Starbucks.
Price discrimination means selling the same product to different groups of customers at different prices. Now, even though this one-line description seems very unfair, price discrimination is such a common occurrence in the real world, such as in the airline industry, transportation industry, retail shopping, or even to enjoy a movie with your family in theaters. To justify this action, price discrimination can be categorized into 3 degrees. Firstly, personalized pricing. Secondly, menu pricing. And finally, group pricing. And today, we would look into the second degree, which occurs when a firm charges different prices depending on the volume of purchase. Let's say 2 customers walk into a Starbucks cafe. The barista would not have any clue on the willingness to pay of each customer for a cup of coffee. Customer A could essentially be a high-demand consumer who absolutely loves Starbucks coffee, while customer B is in a hurry and would buy any coffee for a cheap price. So, to allow the customers to self-select, Starbucks introduces several cup sizes, namely tall, grande, and venti, with respective prices and volume. Suddenly, through this magical process, customer A buys venti and customer B buys tall, and Starbucks ultimately reaps higher profit than it would if it charged a uniform price.
Now, what happened here? Even though on a surface level this passes off as a pricing strategy, fundamentally, Starbucks carried out a second degree price discrimination.
As mentioned earlier, coffee lovers are high-demand consumers. Hence, their demand function is more elastic to the price per ounce of coffee. On the other hand, customer type B are low-demand consumers with a less elastic demand function. Since customer A's willingness to pay is high, with a uniform coffee price at P1, they would be enjoying a higher consumer surplus than customer type B. To exploit the excess consumer surplus, Starbucks could charge 2 different fixed fees of T1 and T2 respectively. However, customer type A would end up purchasing package B designed for customer B, since their consumer surplus would overspill the T2 area and still have some sort of utility. To make sure customer A buys a venti cup, Starbucks could lower the price per ounce of coffee to 70 cents and charge a higher price of $14.80. In this way, they would pick a venti cup since it gives them a higher consumer surplus than a tall cup. Likewise, Type B consumers prefer a tall cup as they just want the cheapest available coffee, disregard the volume. Ultimately, Starbucks enjoys a higher profit through the higher fixed fee charged to consumer A and a higher unit price charged to consumer B, and solves the function above. This diagram shows the initial welfare to the producers and consumers prior to the price discrimination. By charging 2 different prices for 2 different packages, the profit increases together with the consumer surplus as shown in the shaded area. They manage to capture more of the initial deadweight loss, but not entirely.
We now know why and how Starbucks carry out their second degree price discrimination. But what are the factors that allow them to successfully continue this?
To carry out second degree price discrimination, firms should satisfy these 3 conditions. Firstly, there should be an imperfect customer information. Secondly, they should have a different price elasticity of demand. And finally, the firm should have some degree of market power. In the case of Starbucks, the type of consumers and their willingness to pay for a cup of coffee is unknown to the cafe. Hence, they rely on consumers to self-select themselves through offering various coffee volumes. With this, they are able to identify the consumer type with ease and charge them accordingly. In order to price discriminate, there should be consumer groups with varying elasticity of demand. Fundamentally, there are customers who value coffee more than others and are willing to demand more when the price drops slightly. This is where Starbucks could take advantage by offering different prices without affecting the consumer's utility. Firms should also be the price makers in an industry and not price takers. In terms of premium cafes across the globe, there are only a handful of firms and Starbucks is definitely the most famous coffee shop chain. With this, they have the liberty to price discriminate accordingly. On contrary, there is a possibility for arbitrage profit where someone could technically buy coffee in large volume from Starbucks and break it down and resell it. However, this rarely occurs in the real world as not only this scenario is illegal, and highly frowned upon, it is essentially quite infeasible due to the nature of this product.
In conclusion, when monopolistic firms have imperfect information about their customers' willingness to pay, they could opt for this self-selecting price discrimination through charging a high fixed fee and a low unit price for their high-demand consumers, and vice versa for their low-demand consumers. In this way, they can reap higher profits and simultaneously increase consumer surplus by capturing some of the initial deadweight loss. Now, in the beginning of the video, I asked, is price discrimination in the marketplace fair? And after providing this detailed explanation, I would like to ask that question again. Thank you.